Hey guys, Livvy here. Welcome back to my channel. Today is New Year's Eve and I've been kind of thinking about things that I wanted to accomplish during the year, how I went. I think I did really well in some areas and not particularly well in some of the others, but I'm also thinking of things that I want to accomplish in the new year. One thing that I'm really trying to do is to bring more joy into my life. So I'm looking for opportunities to do that. And one way I thought would be really, I think, easy for me to do is to have more celebrations in my life and trying to bring that into my family as well. So I'm going to not go crazy like with my budget or anything, but try to be a little bit more at certain times to make it feel a little bit more special. My kids are 4 and nearly 2, so it's really not hard to do something that makes them feel like it's a bit special. But I don't have a lot of skills in that area, and I am notorious for forgetting about some of these resolutions. So hopefully with me filming this and posting this up, that will be a great reminder. But I think I am going to start that right now. So rather than wait till 2023, I'm going to start 2022. I mean, it's the last day. That's reason for celebration enough. It's been quite an interesting year for me and my family. So a lot of changes have happened, a lot of positive things, a lot of negative things, but positive has kind of ruled overall. And so I thought, let's finish this year out feeling really good. So if you've watched any of my previous videos, especially my last grocery haul, which if you have not seen that, I would suggest to go check that out. But in that one, I mentioned that I am trying to eat down my pantry. A lot of the things that are in there, I bought because they were cheap. I bought because they looked really fun and interesting, but then they got pushed towards the back and I kind of ended up going with things that are familiar. So I'm in the process of eating it down, finding out what's in there, making sure that I use what I've bought, and that I think is something that will continue for quite some time. But while I was looking for it, I found this marinade. I bought this super cheap at Abco, which is kind of like a second store, just a bulk, things that are going out of stock or discounted. Just is one of those type of stores. So I picked it up super cheap. This is smoked Texan chicken drumsticks, which I don't actually have any chicken drumsticks, but on the back it has this smoked Texan chicken rice. And I thought I'm going to replace the chicken with some deer that I have in the freezer because I'm trying to make more space in my freezer for more deer. And this is kind of like one of those older pieces that needs to get going. So we're going to have that, something a little bit different we've never had before, something a little bit more exciting. I'm going to make some cornbread as well because that just sounds delicious. You know, anything Texan with a bit of cornbread and honey. Oh, I'm here for it. But I also want to do something a little bit more extra fun and fancy. Having a nice dinner, you know, the kids are used to that, but having a dessert with it, we're definitely going to go for that. If you know anything about Australia, the dessert to do is Pavlova. And so I have a couple of eggs that need to be used up. I'm going to make Pavlova. I've got strawberries, I've got raspberries, I've got some dairy-free thickened cream, which would go perfect in the middle of it. So we're going to give that one a go, and I can make that one a little bit early. So that is the plan. And I thought, hey, I might as well bring you guys along, talking about doing all this stuff, all about the celebrations, about eating down my pantry. That puts a level of accountability that I kind of need so that I can't be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that come March. Trying to be a little bit better. So with that said, I will show you how to make just a normal, traditional Aussie Pavlova. I love Pavlova. It's very similar to a meringue. I don't know what the difference really is, but I think it's the crispy outside, but like a really nice marshmallowy inside. I also think meringues don't usually, like they aren't made as big as the Pavlova. I don't know if that's true. If you know the difference between a Pavlova and a meringue, please let me know. Or I actually really want to hear different ways that you guys celebrate things. So I want to hear, how do you do New Year's? Like, what is celebrations and traditions that you have put in your family or have been part of your family since forever? I'm trying to get ideas for the coming New Year so that I can stick to this goal. So I would love to hear from you, but I think first things first, I need to start working on my Pavlova. The trick when it comes to Pavlova, and there's quite a few things that you need to note, is to have your eggs at room temperature because you need to separate the egg yolks from the egg whites. It's a lot easier when those eggs are at room temp. I'm just using my hands because I really want to make sure that I don't get the yolk in with the whites. Otherwise, they're just not going to whip properly, and you want them to get really nice and big and fluffy. With the yolk, it's not going to happen. So I'm also making sure that I don't get eggshell in there, but this is my preferred method of doing it. It's messy, just make sure you wash your hands. So as you can see, it's really yellow looking, and it kind of shocks me that this will end up being super white and fluffy. It's kind of cool actually if you think about it. So I start mixing these egg whites pretty low, but I start speeding it up incrementally to make sure it doesn't go crazy. As you can see, there's still a bit of yellow here, but you can see that the air is starting to get in there. This is it much later. It is pretty much all white now, and then the next step is it's going to look beautiful and fluffy. Look at that. That's the meringue. I have added cream of tartar to this as well, and that just adds some stability. Here I am slowly adding about 1.5 cups of sugar, just a couple of teaspoons to a tablespoon at a time. You want that to fully dissolve, and towards the end I did get a little bit bored of it and I just kind of dumped most of it in, but it still turned out really nice. So the reason you want it to add slowly is so that it dissolves. Now most people would say to draw a circle. I think 20 centimeters is the preferred. That's not how I do my meringue. I just like to throw it all on and kind of make my own shape. As you can see, it's beautiful and white and fluffy. It's kind of thick to it. It's really fun to work with, honestly. I wouldn't advise eating it. This is definitely still raw egg, but it is super fun to work with, and it's pretty sweet if you do happen to lick a little bit. I personally like my pavlova to look a little bit bumpy with like the nice peaks and things. I know some people like it flat so it's easier to decorate, but look, this is my pavlova. I'm gonna make it how I want to make it. So it's ready to go in the oven at 100 degrees Celsius for 1 hour, and then when it's finished, turn the oven off, crack the door open, and let it sit for 2 hours. I think for this one I should have left it a little bit longer, but I'll show you that when it comes out. I'm going to start working though on the Texan rice. So this is the deer meat that I was talking about. I got a bunch of deer from my brother-in-law when my husband went hunting with him, and I use it pretty much the same as beef. It's a little bit leaner, so I think it works really nice when there's a lot of flavors and things to it. This recipe originally called for chicken, but the deer actually worked surprisingly well with it. So you pop it in your Dutch oven and you let it kind of create a nice color before you turn it. I'm adding some rice, some chicken stock, the sauce packet, which I'm going to learn how to make because it was actually really delicious. Mix it all up, get that water boiling, and then you're going to add in some black beans, and I added some creamed corn. It asked for actual corn, but I ended up cooking corn, so I mixed it all in. I regret not having my beans a little bit more washed though. So this is it out of the oven. As you can see, it's a little bit pale, and I think it's still a little bit sticky, so I do end up actually popping it in the oven for a little bit longer. What I wish that I had done is maybe just let it sit for longer. I'm making some cornbread now just to go with my corn theme that I inadvertently did. If you want any of the recipes, just check the description below. I have written them all there, easy to follow, or I've linked to where I got the recipe from so that you guys can make it if you are interested. This cornbread though, it is so easy to make and it's so delicious. I just throw it in the cast iron, pop it in the oven for like 20 minutes and it's perfect. So keeping with the corn theme, I'm wrapping some corn up and putting it in the oven. I put a little bit of butter, salt and pepper it, wrap it in foil, pop them in with the cornbread, and they're perfect. Cornbread came out lovely. I don't mind that crack. Coloring is really lovely. So this is me dishing up dinner. I think the black beans made it look a little bit more brown than I wanted, but that's okay. I really loved it. It was super tasty. I added some cornbread, a little bit of honey, and I also added a cob of corn, but it was a bit hot, so it was cooling in the fridge for the boys. Very, very yum. Now this is me finishing off the pavlova. I'm using a dairy-free thickened cream that I found at Woolworths. It's a really good substitute. It's not perfect. It doesn't whip up as nice as normal cream, but it still does a pretty good job. This is me slicing up some strawberries. I used strawberries and some raspberries to decorate on top. These raspberries and strawberries were actually super yum. Now this is me trying to pull the pavlova off of the sheet onto a plate to make it look nice and realizing that, oh, it's not very well connected. The shell lifts off and it cracked, and the marshmallow filling is delicious and all there and soft, but Yeah, I just feel like maybe I should have left it in the oven that little bit longer, but I just couldn't tell. And yeah, I just put it right back onto the original tray. And yeah, as you can see, it just falls apart. That's all right. Pavlova is forgiving. You just add some cream on top, put your raspberries, put your strawberries on. I was going to dust it with some sugar, it's just some powdered sugar, but I couldn't find my sieve, so it just went this way. And you know what? Even though it fell apart, even though it cracked, it tasted absolutely delicious. And here is the final product. Delicious, wonderful pavlova. It's messy, it's creamy, it's got a nice crisp crunchy outside and marshmallow inside. Just the perfect celebration for 2022. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Make sure, if you haven't already, to hit that like button to make sure that you're subscribed to my channel. I come up with videos pretty regularly, and they'll probably be a little bit more regular as the new year goes on. I'm still going to be doing my grocery hauls, but I might throw in a few bits and pieces of random ones just to see how they go, and if you like it, I would really love to hear it. And also make sure to comment below anything that you enjoyed seeing in the video. I'm really trying to build a community, and I really appreciate every single comment that I get. But otherwise, I hope you all have a happy new year, and I'll see you on the next one.